Sometimes you have these folk psychology ideas and you don't know which way to stand on them because they tend to go both ways, right? So just one example of this is this like what it takes to be socially dominant, okay? When we're talking about pride, okay? Now this wisdom is nothing new. If you guys will have heard it a million times, it's age-old wisdom to be humble, okay? But when I read the psychological literature on pride, and then I kind of I tried to get feedback from my own experience. I tried to put it into practice, and I came to the conclusion that it's that like what is the right way to go about pride. Okay, so the research, and I'll make another video actually covering that research article that I'm drawing from. It's an amazing, very long article. I was lucky to find it, and it just covered pride in detail. That emotion of, it's a self what do you call those emotions? Self-conscious. It's a self-conscious emotion. So it's not like a completely base level emotion like anger or disgust or something. It's like a little bit higher, one level higher. But in an article they say it's very universalized. Like people from all different cultures, they can recognize pride, and it's from the as early as like ages 3 and stuff. Okay, and they break pride into two parts. Okay, there's the positive and the negative one. Okay, so or you can call them prestige versus dominance. Okay, so two aspects to pride. Okay, and what's interesting is that pride, the positive kind, so the prestige kind, as opposed to like the hubristic or arrogant pride or dominant pride. Okay, there's two types. The good pride, the prestige kind. Okay, so that is associated with so many positive outcomes that I will have to make that other video showing you guys, and the effect sizes are large. Like in psychological studies, you usually don't find large effects like that, but it's like on every single like thing. Like there was like self-esteem, on openness, on how much people like you, on how pro-social you are, on how generous you are, like on every freaking character trait or expression or behavior, whatever. Prestige, man, the good kind of pride gives you like these medium to and large effect sizes. And then you look at the opposite, like hubristic pride, which would be like arrogance or dominance, correlated or giving rise to narcissism. That one is associated with a whole host of negative outcomes. Okay, so you have like in the minus side, or yeah, like people don't like you, you do worse with self-esteem. When you take up when you try to accomplish things, you'll self-sabotage. There's fear of failure, because you're working from a place of inferiority, whatever. And I'm not saying it's completely bad. I think the article doesn't quite capture a phenomenon that's there. I suspect that prestige allows you to rise within in-groups, whereas dominance, that display of force using coercion, that kind of pride was usually levied against out-groups. Okay, so for example, and because they find that when you're bigger in size, like bigger in stature, in certain contexts, in certain domains where like coercion would be good, then dominance does work. It does work to gain social influence. But when it comes to like an in-group, like being liked, doing better, all these positive outcomes, prestige does better. And prestige is linked to, like, let's say having a skill set, having some kind of competence, because then people want to enter into those reciprocal relationships with you, where they would like to draw from your knowledge base, learn from you, imitate you, so on, and in turn they'll give you access to let's say resources, mates, so on, right? But where I really want to go with this video is like what I just put into my practice right now. So they found that almost like universally, pretty much universally, they found that there's a kind of body language that's associated with the two types of pride. And so based on that, they had this hypothesis in that article that pride was not just good for rank attainment. Like that's the main, what they conjecture in that paper, they hypothesize, backed by all this research, that the main kind of adaptive purpose for pride, that self-conscious emotion, was rank attainment. Okay, so like when you feel pride in yourself, it makes you feel like you're on the right track with kind of meeting those internalized standards through conditioning or whatever, that you're meeting those, right? You're gaining rank in society. Whereas when people don't feel pride, then it motivates them to do better. So it propels them towards rank attainment. Okay, but yeah, that's the adaptive function. But they hypothesize that there's a second function, which is that based on the non-verbal communication, that without knowing it, you display when you feel pride inside. Based on that, people can tell. They found it in so many studies that people can tell when you're feeling proud inside, a good type of pride, or even the dominant kind of pride, the hubristic one. And based on that, they'll what was it? Yeah, they'll choose you to learn from, kind of. So that's where prestige plays in, right? It's like when we're looking for who to learn from, who to imitate, when we're looking for cultural transmission, like what type of ideas carry forward into the next generation. Well, one of these kind of what propagates cultural transmission is this. We look to prestigious individuals, okay? And they found, this is the amazing, this is where this video gets amazing, okay? They found that even in a context where you know somebody is high prestige, like let's say they're watching a Rolex watch or something, and I'm making this shit up. I don't know, I don't remember what exactly the study looked at, but even when you know the person is high status, okay, based on some physical, like maybe it's a nice car or a nice watch or whatever, nice suit, let's say, right? Compared to someone who is so obviously homeless or dressed in dregs or whatever, okay? Even when that clear demarcation is there, like who is high prestige, who is low prestige, even in those cases, just based on the internal body language, people would look to the shabbier dressed or whatever, like the low guy, right? Low prestige guy, and mark him out to be higher prestige, okay? Just based on the non-verbal communication, okay? Based on these three things, okay, I'm going to tell you. This was the body language comment there, okay? They found that the good kind of prestige, or like good kind of pride, people have an upward head tilt, they have an expansive body language, and they have a slight smile on their face, okay? Those three things. And funnily enough, the bad kind of pride, the dominance kind, or hubristic pride, arrogance, yeah, dominance, they have the same the expansiveness in their body. They don't have the smile on their face, and they're usually the head tilt down, okay? And their body language will be almost like too expansive, like in an overt or outdone way, okay? So I was just running this own experiment on myself right now, because I just happened to experience a success in my life. I passed my class 5 road test. I know it's not at this age, it's not a big deal, but for me it was a huge deal, because there were reasons why I was never able to do it before, and now having done it, it opens up a world of doors, like just so many things. Like I can't wait to, whatever, I won't say it, but yeah, whatever. It opens up a lot of doors, so it's an amazing success. And so I let myself feel that success, okay, inside me, and I was looking at my body language, how I was carrying myself as I just went to pick up this smoothie. So normally I have social anxiety. So walking inside a mall, walking into a food court to even grab a smoothie, it's a very challenging thing. I feel the social anxiety, okay? But I was walking around just carefree, open body language, slight smile on my face, upward head tilt, mostly the upward head tilt. Like I was just naturally just walking around like this, right? Just like that, right? And when I was doing this, like subconsciously, like I wasn't, when I tuned into me doing this, then I remembered the article that I had read, and it's like I was embodying exactly those things, right? And I knew that I wanted to tap into this going forward, okay? I'll cover this in this video. I'm gonna go into this in detail, okay? How to use these lessons, okay? As opposed to when I used to come from a place of low pride inside, I used to overcompensate to, let's say, bodybuilding, like building muscles, and then I would identify with that, and I was trying to recall, like, what was my body language back then? It would be the downward head tilt, right? It wouldn't be like this, right? Because inside I didn't feel the pride, so it'd be like this, head down, and expansive body language, but in a way that was posturing or like identifying with my muscles, like, you know, like the imaginary lat spread and stupid shit like that, like the way bodybuilders walk. And of course, no slight smile on my face, right? So where I want to go with this is like, how do you convince yourself inside to have that body language of a prestigious person? Because the way the studies found that doesn't matter how you dress, doesn't matter the trappings of success, whatever, doesn't matter about the context, the way you carry yourself, people will notice. In studies, there's a significant effect. They find that people over and over again across cultures, they can tell somebody who is feeling high prestige inside and they look to those people for cultural transmission. They will try to imitate those people, learn from those people, engage in that positive interactions with those people, right? It doesn't matter the outward trappings of success. And in fact, when you try to set up that outward dominant display, then it's less attractive, as we found in the people who had the kind of overly done expansive body language, or the dominant displays, right? It kind of puts them off. People get put off by that, right? So then I'm going to make a video on this in the future, but I suspect, at least this is what's working for me, is there's something called an availability heuristic, okay? This is from Kahneman and Tversky's work, okay? Where they found that if you make it easier for people to recall instances of them expressing a certain trait, they will more likely believe that they are that way. Something to that effect, right? So for example, if I tell you, can you give me 5 instances where you were confident, versus I ask you, give me 20 instances where you were confident, okay? Just the fact that those 5 instances are more available to you than 20 instances, in the 5 instances condition, you will think yourself to be more confident, because you were more easily able to recall those examples, okay? So what does that mean for myself? Okay, so I've been journaling. Every time something positive happens, every time I act in a way that reinforces a belief I would like to have as opposed to what I have right now, I journal it. So for example, if someone smiles at me, I'll journal it, like somebody smiled at me, okay? And I found that this way I have it fully in my power to exactly have the beliefs that I want to have. I am not at the mercy of my beliefs that have been programmed into me from childhood. I am completely in control. I get to decide what beliefs I have. And the way I do this is by hacking that availability heuristic for myself. I keep recalling to mind. I keep making it salient to myself. I keep tuning into all these experiences as I go about my daily life that reinforce the beliefs that I would like to have, as opposed to had before or have right now, okay? So one instance of that is prestige, right? What can I draw my mind, what can I draw my attention to that would reinforce this idea that I do have the competence in so many domains in my life, that I liberate myself to feel the prestige inside, and so inadvertently have that nonverbal communication of prestige inside. So then, see, if I didn't have this research, I would have been thinking, like, in the common vein, that advice that, like, you have to detach yourself from all the worldly things, that you should draw your worth from spiritual things, being connected to God and so on. And that is true, right? But it's like, I think you can actually, that is still a superstitious way of going about things, because you're scared that if you try to feel pride off of your worldly accomplishments, then you will fall into this kind of dominant display as opposed to the real good display of pride, right? You don't want to fall into the arrogant, hubristic pride. But that's superstition, okay? If now that you know better, now that you know exactly with granularity what kind of pride you want and how to get it, now I don't need to feel guilty about feeling pride for worldly accomplishments, rather the opposite. Now I can feel pride for every fucking thing that will let me feel the prestige inside, whether it's luck, whether it's my worldly possessions, whether it's God, my connection to God, spirituality, all of these things, everything that brainwashes me to feel the prestige inside and thus translates into my behavior of high prestige outside, I can own that, and I can recognize, tune into that, and incorporate that into my being, into my belief system, okay? So even luck, right? So they found in that study that kids at a very early age, because, you know, they're lacking theory of mind and all that stuff, that they will think that luck somehow has something to do with how worthy they are as people. And then after a certain point, they can distinguish between situational factors and stuff, or merit versus luck factors, right? So that if somebody's just got lucky, they won't ascribe good qualities to them, right? But I say, why not, right? Why do we shy away from that? I think it's superstition. Because if what you're really seeking is that inner feeling of prestige, of pride, of the good kind of pride, then even if it's a bullshit reason, like something lucky happens to you, it's like, why not just feel the pride inside? Something lucky happened to me, I'm a lucky person, I feel pride inside. As long as I can kind of compartmentalize and also have a connection to reality that this is bullshit, but it's like, why not just live it, you know? So anyways, this is kind of, I'm running late, I have to, but I can't keep hammering on this point, but I think I covered enough in this video. I'll make future videos on this topic because I think it's super, super important, and I'll keep running this study because I suspect this is the key to unlocking my my low status nonverbal communication that was fucking me up before. Now I know exactly how to feel that high prestige inside, how to channel it into my body language, and how to distinguish the good kind of pride from the bad kind of pride, and whether or not to be humble. Like, I know the real value of this lesson, because the ultimate way to be is to be super prideful in the good kind of pride inside, but then outside now I have license to be humble. Before I was thinking, if I'm humble, I'm hiding my inner prestige, and so people won't pick up that competence that I feel inside. But that's bullshit, because we found in the studies, people read the nonverbal communication. Doesn't matter about the external trappings of success. They see through that. Okay? In fact, the external trappings of success, if you resonate with that and you try to put that forward, like you flex the Rolex watch or something, it's gonna work against you. So now I know I have full license that I can be humble as fuck, because people will pick up that inside I'm feeling the good kind of pride. I'm feeling that prestige inside, based on both the real competencies I have, but also the brainwashing I've done beforehand to just think that all the luck that happens to me, all my connection to God, the competencies I have, the things I own, everything bolsters that feeling inside of pride. And I keep reinforcing that with the availability heuristic by journaling. Okay, thanks guys.